Well, it was time for me to rob the bank. My heart was pounding, bouncing. Quietly, we stand in line. He went to one cashier, I went to the other one, and the gun was already sticking out of the window. Hello, my name is Farhad. I used to rob banks. I was 18 years old at the time. I took a toy gun. There was another guy with me. He was assigned to me to keep an eye on me because I was the youngest, and everyone was worried. Roughly speaking, they didn't know who brought them a child. We had a short bite because the bank didn't open until 12. It was time to go there, and I was full of fear and adrenaline. I had only one thought: I have to overcome that. So we started. The robbery wasn't the kind where you hit the bank and yelled loudly to stay on the floor and tell everybody it was a robbery. I wrote some scribbles on a piece of paper like I have some kind of account there, and it was my turn. The woman was there. She looked at that piece of paper and then at me. What's this? At that moment, the gun was already kind of sticking out of the window. She gave me a certain amount of money. I had a bag with me. I had everything, but I wasn't up to it. You know, I just stuffed everything into my pants, and even underwear. I stuffed that money everywhere. The guy I was with, who had been assigned to look after me, got scared himself. He didn't take anything. We got out, went down to the metro, got changed there, passed a few stations, and approached a cab driver, showing him 140 euros. I was like, "We don't have any more. That's all we have. We are tourists here. In short, we don't know how to get away. Take us to that city." And he believed us. Actually, the cab drivers there cooperated with the police, so we had to tell such stories. He took us to this town, and we arrived at our destination. The money you get isn't all yours. Everything is distributed. That money was wasted. We squandered it fast. We partied hard. I even left 500 euros for a trip, so that's it. Actually, I kind of planned to have my 100,000 euros in my pocket so that I wouldn't worry. My childhood was tough enough. Mother didn't look after me. My grandmother took custody of me. I lived with her. She made my life happy, and everything was great. But then my grandmother asked other relatives to take custody. She died when I was about 7, I guess. With those relatives in the family, I wasn't a welcome child. It was hard enough for me mentally, morally, and even psychologically. I felt absolutely no love at all, but felt some negativity all the time, as if I was superfluous there. The only thing I was brought up with was punishment. No care, no warmth. That is, only punishment, like in the army. One day I came to school with lines from jump rope on my face. Teachers and educators noticed my behavior and some other points and understood that there were significant problems. They assembled some kind of council and said, "Don't you want to go to an orphanage? We'll take you away from this family." Without thinking, I said that I wanted to go to an orphanage. When I got to the orphanage, I didn't see any significant difference. No love, no warmth, nothing. That is, you keep taking orders. To school, from school, homework, sleep, get up. That's the whole situation. I started smoking and drinking in the orphanage. Up to a certain point, I still had love in my heart. There was a turning point, and it was destroyed in my heart. I can't say that anything specific happened. I just remember that I stopped having those feelings, stopped worrying, stopped caring. There appeared some crimes. After all, I ended up being a wanted man. Well, in that situation, I was offered to go to another country and rob banks there. I agreed to everything they offered me, so I gladly did this time. About 4 days passed between the first and second offenses, and from that point on, they put me in charge of the guy who was watching me. So we went to the bank. This partner of mine came over, took my money. He put a gun into the window. They gave him the money. Then it was my turn, but the window closed. They called the cops. We went in different directions because the situation was a bit out of the ordinary. The police arrived, and all the helicopters started flying around with binoculars. In general, it turned into an action movie. Moreover, I drank some for courage. Walking around the city on my own, I looked for a cash register to get the money. I remember crossing a bridge and a bunch of police cars with sirens. Everybody was running with guns. Hand hotch, face on the ground, and then the police station. We were interrogated there. Were you involved in this or that case? I said I had nothing to do with it. I don't know this guy at all. Who he is. I was just standing in line. I'm a tourist. They found a toy gun on me. But I'm a tourist. The toy is just for playing with kids. And some other bullshit. Still, they locked me up. I understood that I was in prison. In short, there was no way out. I sat there and remembered that there is a God in heaven, and I decided to pray. I prayed, saying, Lord, get me out of here. I'll rob one more bank, and I won't do it again. Some more time has passed. I prayed, Lord, let me go. I will go to Russia. I will work. I will be a normal, decent man. 24 hours passed. A policeman came in and said, Well, goodbye. When I was released, it was impossible for me to reach anyone because all the ends were cut off, so I wouldn't bring the tail. Anyway, I hung out on the street for a few days, with no money, with nothing. I walked up to a Russian. I could tell by the look on his face that he was Russian. To cut a long story short, I told him my story. I said that I came there to rob banks. Said, Bro, can you help me out here? Yeah, no problem. We're kind of fun guys too, he replied. In short, they brought me to their company. They were a bunch of junkies. I stayed there for a couple of days. Then the guys sent me money to buy a gun and some clothes. They showed me where the bank was. And that was it. Roughly speaking, I went to rob. Came to the bank. It was the third time, so I didn't have the slightest bit of fear. I was no longer afraid, as if going shopping. I got there, pulled the gun in the window, and said, Quick! Schnell! He gave me the money. This time, a man was working. He gave me some money, but there wasn't much. I said, Come on, else. It means all. He was waving. No, no, I said, Quick. He got something else and threw it. He also gave me a special pack. There's a special bomb, you know. It's designed by cops. It dyes money, dyes hands. You're supposed to be covered in paint. I had a tight, dense bag. I wrapped it all up real tight and ran out of that bank. When I got under the bridge, it all started to smoke and the paint blew up. Still, because the bag was so thick, there was no paint left on my fingers. Only all the money was spoiled. I changed my clothes and ran out from under the bridge. It turns out I ran straight to the police station. I saw the police and reflexively ran backward. I just got scared that it was the police. They realized it was me. Anyway, I saw a trash can and dropped the money. The trash can was for plastic bottles. The bag fitted in there. They caught me and smashed my nose, but that was it. I was charged with several robberies, including one I wasn't involved in. In fact, I was in Sweden that day. I guess they pinned all their excess cases on me. Shortly, they told me to admit everything, and I won't get 8 years. Not 7 years, but 4. I admitted all that. They gave me 4 years. It was the first time I encountered a prison. Actually, it was a resort. There was a gym for the body. You can write a paper, and they send you to the kitchen 1 day a week. You cook all the food you want there, like pizza, so it makes no difference at all. But in terms of the moral factor, or whatever you want to call it, it was really hard there. Those guards, those policemen who worked there, treated me and all the guys negatively. If you had a German neighbor there, he was allowed to do anything, but I wasn't allowed anything. If you lay a finger on them, they would send you to solitary confinement, and you would stay there. In Germany, I only did 2 years. That's the law there. If you are a citizen of another country, you only stay for half a sentence, and after that, you will be deported back to your own country. And if you come to Germany without the judge's knowledge, and your documents are checked, you will be in prison for 2 more years. So I'm not risking going to Germany, although I have a visa and everything. Our 3 Belarusian KGB agents flew to pick me up in an airplane. In short, I flew from prison to prison. I came out of prison a completely different person. Other thoughts, other plans, other goals, other desires. Personally, I can say that prison doesn't change people at all. That is, everything that happens there is. On the contrary, strengthening in evil, strengthening in crimes. There are always the same dialogues. It's praised, it's honorable, it's great, and you get soaked in this stuff. Even when you are free, you do everything to get back there. I was saved by my faith. In a German prison, a guard who works there brought me a Christian book called Jesus Our Destiny. I was wary and thought if I should read it. So I started reading, and it said that God could change my life, that if I turned to Him, that I repented of what I was doing and asked Him to change my life, He would come into my life and change me. I decided to give it a try. Why not? I prayed, and just from that day, my life changed dramatically. My thoughts started to change. Cigarettes disappeared from my life. God changed me in such a way that I haven't even wanted to go back in years. I wanted that freedom so badly. I was so eager to be independent and got into so much trouble that I ended up in jail. Drugs came into my life. No, it was nothing good. That's kind of what I'm thinking back now. Maybe something was fun for me. Still, there wasn't anything funny. You don't see any point further down the line. The life I lived would last about 2 years, I think, and that's the maximum I could live. I met my wife. She's wonderful. In fact, that's a huge support for me. She makes up for the losses I suffered as a child, a kind of love, warmth. My wife is a big person in my life. After the wedding, there was some money, and we decided to try some kind of business. A friend of mine is in the fireworks business. I asked him, "Volodya, can you give me a hint? How? What? Where?" He gave me the address and said, "Go there, buy that stuff there, and that's it. Do your business." I did all that, opened a little store, traded for 1 year, and multiplied the money by 2. The next year, I opened 3 stores, and another year, I opened 10 stores. Well, that's how good enough money started to flow in, and we don't have to work. I'm thankful to God. We're living well, we're doing okay. I'm not some rich guy out there. I don't even have my own house. I live in rented housing, for now, but I live comfortably enough. For those people who might think that this story is so fascinating, you know, I regret and repent all the things that I've done in my life, because a lot of my crimes have hurt people. You're not the only one who's going to bear those consequences. I have a loving wife now. I also love her, and I realize if I had kids who would somehow start going that way, it's creepy. If I could rewind my life and I could change something, it would be at the very root, at the very beginning of my life. I would have wanted a complete family.